I'm Eric Iverson. I'm the Transportation and Sustainability Director for the city. It's one of our newer departments at the city. Um, and just want to thank you, first of all, for attending today. This is really important stuff. The transportation plan is updated roughly every 10 years. It kind of follows the updates to our city general plan, and that was just adopted about a year ago. So this is this gets down to what we're doing with our transportation system in Tempe. And again, big effort and really important stuff. I want to mention that we have multiple departments represented here that can answer questions. And then especially from our department in transportation and sustainability, a lot of great team members in our different areas in the department that are going to be available to answer questions. We also have our consultant team. I know that they will get a chance to introduce themselves and talk through the project. And then, of course, we have representatives from our city manager's office and our city council that are on the call and may jump in as well. Couple of things I want to mention just really quick. Uh, I think Tempe's got the best transportation system in the state. We certainly have the most diverse. We have everything from streetcar and light rail to freeways on all four sides of our city, to having the first bike lane in the state, the first bike plan in the state, highest per capita transit ridership in the state. We're the only uh, uh, public transit. We're the only city that has a public transit tax that is in perpetuity. And all those firsts and those investments are partly why, again, I feel like we have the best transportation in the state, and we've made really good progress in providing transportation options for everyone. I think we have a strong multimodal system, and bike, pedestrian, ADA, now scooters, of course, driving, public transit in all its many forms, orbit, rail, bus. And so we arrive now in 2025 with all those great things that we have done in the last generations. And what we're here now is to ask you all to participate and be partners with us on what our future holds and how we can remain really effective in providing good transportation for our city. And one final comment I'll make is that we, as part of being in together with sustainability at the city, we're looking really closely at how we are more sustainable in our transportation system. We all know that public transit is kind of the original or the OG sustainable transportation. Biking and walking, of course, is as well. But when we look at our streets, when we look at our transportation system, we look at it through the lens of sustainability. So we want to continue to make those investments that build a more sustainable system. Everything from more trees and shade to electrification of our bus fleet, just for some examples. And so with that, we are happy you're here, and hopefully you will continue in being engaged in this process through the next year. And we're excited about what the future holds for Tempe's transportation. And I will now hand it off to Lindsay Post, who is our senior transportation planner that is leading this effort for the city. And thanks for your time.
Thank you, Eric. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming. As Eric mentioned, my name is Lindsay Post, and I am a senior transportation planner with the City of Tempe's Transportation and Sustainability Department. We kicked off the transportation plan update in March of this year. It addresses the transportation network or transportation system, which you'll hear often about through this process. The transportation network or the transportation system refers to every part of our city that we use to travel: roads, bridges, sidewalks, paths and trails, bike lanes, and more. And it is informed by the circulation chapter of our general plan, which we'll get to in just a moment. So some of the things that we'll be asking you and what you should be asking yourself as we go through this process is, what is your vision for the future of Tempe transportation? What do you like about our current system? What do you dislike about our current system? What makes commuting and recreating easier? What makes commuting and recreating more difficult? So since 2015, we have had a lot to celebrate. We opened the first modern streetcar in the region, our Tempe streetcar. We adopted the Vision Zero efforts to reduce our serious and fatal crashes to zero. So that is the Vision Zero action plan. We have reduced our serious and fatal crashes by 60% since 2019, completed the transition to 100% alternatively fueled transit bus fleet, and we have added over 47 miles of bike lanes. We added 5 miles of bike lanes, a little over 5 miles since 2015. That gets us to this total of 47 miles of bike lane. The Tempe City Council set 5 strategic priorities for the community. We will ensure the Transportation Plan 2050 will reflect these priorities. And these are the specific performance measures that this plan contributes to and works towards in reaching these individual goals. The ADA Transition Plan, 20-minute city, transit system satisfaction, and travel delay reduction are in quality of life. Urban cooling is in sustainable growth and development. And our high severity traffic crashes, which Vision Zero addresses, is in safe and secure communities. This is the project team. This is a collaborative effort, as Eric mentioned. I am the project manager, senior transportation planner with the city. With me on my team for long range planning is Alex Phillips, who's on the call with us today. He is a transportation planner. We work in the department with a core working group. We meet often, and they helped me to develop the scope of work that our consulting partners, who I'll mention in just a second, took on. And our stakeholders within the city are made up of this technical advisory group, or the TAG. So twice per phase, we will meet with the TAG to ensure that the development of the plan is supporting the goals and objectives set by our city council, and is supporting each one of our departments who relies on our transportation network to undertake their tasks that they do. We hired HDR, our consulting partner firm, for help developing this plan. So they take on a large amount of the technical analysis work that you'll see here today, as well as they'll develop the final plan and the final deliverables. The project manager from HDR is on our call. His name is Michael LaBianca. This is the scope of work that we hired HDR to undertake for us. We right now are in phase 1, the understanding phase. There are 3 phases, and I'll discuss a little bit more about the timeline in the next slide. But I want to highlight here that I have put a star next to public involvement. And that is because that is not a one and done activity. It is done constantly throughout each one of our phases, and is the main driver for the work that we do. And the analysis that we undertake here is based off of the public feedback that we get from you guys. And so just to dive in a little bit more, we right now are in phase 1, as I mentioned. That is the understanding phase. That is where HDR has been doing the existing conditions analysis. So basically what exists today, and we'll be guiding you through what they've found so far. Today, we'll kick off our public survey that is available now on the website. I'll get you some information on how to access that website in a few more slides. But tonight is our public open house that will mirror what you're seeing here, but it'll also have opportunities for folks to move in, and it's an open house format, so they can move through the displays as you all want. You will see the displays here as a summary so that you don't miss anything in case you're not able to join us tonight. But please know that outreach is our biggest task that we undertake in developing this comprehensive plan. So I hope that you'll continue to engage with us throughout each one of these phases. After this meeting in next month, we'll kick off the next phase, which is the needs and gaps analysis. So based on what we hear from you in the survey and what we hear from you tonight, that will help to inform the next phase. This is an 18-month project. So we kicked it off in March of 2025, and it is expected to go to summer of 2026. A transportation plan is a strategic document that outlines how people and goods move in our city. The development for this plan has been, as I mentioned, was kicked off in March for 18 months. It is a long-range vision of a comprehensive transportation plan that will inform the next 25 years of our transportation network. The objective of this plan is to recommend and prioritize transportation policy and project implementation, and we do that with your help. The elements of the plan are listed here. Our final plan will serve as an action plan for the next 25 years, as well as our update to the Vision Zero action plan, which, as I mentioned, aims to reduce serious and fatal accidents to zero. Our transportation system, or our transportation network today, consists of um, local and circulator bus routes, as well as 2 express bus routes that come through our city. We have light rail. Of course, we've got our streetcar, paratransit, and ride choice. We have 190 miles of bike lanes, and that is all bike facilities. 42 miles of multi-use paths, and just over 530 miles of center line miles. So that doesn't count each lane, just the center line, the middle of the road. So why now? Why are we updating today? For a few reasons. Of course, as Eric mentioned, about 1.5 years ago now, the voters approved the general plan 2050 Tempe tomorrow. And so the transportation plan serves to support the goals and objectives set by the circulation chapter of our general plan. And it helps to I use the transportation plan to apply for federal grants, regional grants, some state funding opportunities. So it acts as sort of a feasibility document for those efforts. Long-range plans like the Transportation Plan 2050 are responsible for delivering large capital projects such as the streetcar, this I-10 pedestrian bridge that you see here, managed by ADOT, owned by ADOT, our canal paths, and more. These have long been identified in other plans, such as the Maricopa Association of Governments Regional Momentum 2050 plan. And we are now implementing them with the help of some previous infrastructure funding and other funding sources. We also update this plan to account for the changing projected population in Tempe and ensure our transportation network is resilient for the future. This is a video that I hope will work for us now. What you're seeing on your screen is the population reported as of 2024. So if you'll pay attention to the corridor along the streetcar route, along Apache Boulevard, you'll notice the deeper purple will come in as we slide it over to show you what 2050 is projected to look like. So here we go. And then it'll slide back once more. So this is 2050. And this is what 2024 is. So it looks like the biggest changes we can expect as far as our population density will take place along Apache Boulevard. This slider is available, as well as a few more interactive tools in our website, which I will get to in just a moment. The plan is also updated to reflect the changes that we've seen in our system. For instance, we've mentioned already so far that streetcar came to Tempe 2016. And another thing that you might have noticed when you're out, especially in downtown Tempe, is the rentable scooters. So we had to make sure that we accounted for those. We'll talk about that program in just a minute, but that is one of the changes that we've also seen. We collectively went through a major pandemic recently, and COVID significantly changed the way that we move and the way that we work. And so what guides the plan? As I've mentioned, it's significantly guided by the feedback that you all provide us, as well as the comprehensive plans that you see here. There are many more. One of the tasks that HDR is undertaking in this phase is the literature review of all comprehensive plans in the city that the transportation plan can help support. Here is a picture of Alex Phillips recently at our Tempe Time Machine event. So we've been tabling and attending events since March to begin getting feedback on the existing network as it exists today. So here's a picture of Alex and this father with his amazing backpack. And so these are the ways that we are getting feedback from you, as well as this public meeting today, the survey. There will be frequent opportunities to come interact with us as we attend events, which we will announce on our website. But we also reach out to stakeholders like advocacy groups, perhaps that's disability advocacy groups, biking advocacy groups, youth advocacy groups. And then, of course, our Safety and Vision Zero Tempe, since this also acts as an update to our Vision Zero plan. If you are not able to attend our in-person meeting, these next few slides will help fill in the gaps of what you would see if you were able to attend. These materials will be made available on our project website, as well as each individual file so that you can look at it a little bit more easily. And so, for instance, we will have large displays of these maps. I am not expecting you to be able to see everything at this scale, but this is a reference of what will be shown tonight. For example, the pedestrian map on the left shows green segments where our sidewalks meet the current standard width. That's typically between 5.5 and 6 feet in residential areas, 8 feet in our transit overlay district where we have high transit volumes. Below the current standard width, for instance, is the yellow or orange colors that you see there, and then red where we have missing sidewalks. So one of the activities that folks can participate in tonight is interacting with those boards and telling us where they have needs or where things are working. So you'll be able to access these PDFs individually at our website so that you can zoom in and interact with them a little bit better. On the right, of course, is our bikeways map, just updated recently, and that includes all bike facilities. This is a board that will be shown tonight showing our dockless scooters. So the scooters are rentable. That we have Lime and Bird in our city right now. The map on the left shows the heat map or the ridership map for the last year. So we were able to pull data from June 2024 to June of 2025 to get this information. And you can see that almost 1 million miles of scooter miles have been ridden in that year. You could see the very deep red in the map, mostly in downtown Tempe, especially along Tempe Beach Park and around ASU. Those are the deep red areas indicating the areas with the highest ridership. Green, obviously, is the areas with lower ridership. It would be pretty expensive for you to ride a scooter from downtown to all the way down to South Tempe. But if you pay attention to the average distance traveled and the average duration of a trip, that indicates to us that people are using scooters to help complete their first or last mile from transit to their homes or to their work, so that they don't have to walk and maybe don't have to be out in the heat as much. One thing we wanted to highlight is that we initiated the downtown corral zones. So you notice that scooters have to be parked within a box. It keeps the scooters out of the public right of way, helps with safety, and helps with aesthetics as well. We also are proud to have launched our new transit shelters. We have installed several around the city. We do have some criteria listed here to show where we are prioritizing putting shelters. This is solar powered. We use mostly as wherever we can find it, the local materials for fabrication. The solar power lights the shelter up at night. That provides safety for users, as well as ensures that the bus operators can see them and don't pass passengers by at night. Another board that you'll see tonight is our existing transit network. We have regional buses, local buses, and express that comes through Tempe, as well as our circulator, which includes the Flash at ASU and our Orbit system. Also tonight at the in-person meeting is this data, which is also shown on our website and will be made available in this same document format. This shows our crashes. So these are crashes, the next two slides, crashes involving pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcyclists. And they are more likely to result in serious and fatal injuries. Compared to other groups, a greater proportion of pedestrian crashes occur during nighttime hours. Drugs and alcohol are reported as a factor more often in fatal and serious crashes. So this kind of data will be made available at the public meeting and on our website. One thing I want to highlight is when I say pedestrians, that means people who are fully ambulatory and walk, but it also means people who are who use mobility aids or mobility devices, so motorized wheelchairs, motorized scooters, and other mobility aids these are considered pedestrians. Sometimes in this industry, you might hear the term walking and rolling in that instance means a mobility device rather than bikes or scooters or skateboards. Another board that you'll see tonight is highlighting what Tempe is working on in the short term. So while this transportation plan will be a long-range planning document for the next 25 years, we did want to show what Tempe is working on now. Voters approved the PQI, Pavement Quality Index Acceleration Program, using voter-approved bonds to help fund that program. And that map shows the next 5 years of pavement quality index, so basically where we will improve pavement. You can see in the box the Capital Improvement Program, CIP is what we call it internally, for the next 5 years. We are committing a large amount of our local transit dollars, local general funds, as well as we list our federal, regional, and state grants that we get for these projects. So for example, the McClintock Underpass, the Western Canal, and the streetcar all used federal funding and local Tempe tax dollars to match those funds. And lastly, I just want to leave you with how you can stay involved with our efforts. Of course, I'm inviting you tonight to our in-person public meeting where all of us, as well as the technical advisory group, the core working group, and HDR will be available for questions and to interact with you. So our project website, there are 2 ways to get to it. There's a QR code on the next page to make it easier. But our website will act right now as our existing conditions report, and there are many interactive public feedback tools for you to engage with. For example, an interactive map where you can make comments directly into a map, where you can zoom in and zoom out and make several comments at once. That will sort of mirror some activities that we do tonight. So as I mentioned, there are 2 ways to get to our project's website. You can go to tempe.gov/transportation plan 2050, and that'll link to the project website that is being hosted externally, so outside of our city website. Or you can go directly to the project webpage, which is live now, transportationplan2050.tempe.gov. The links to all documents will be available there, as well as the links to the survey. And speaking of survey, the survey will be open from today to September 3rd. There's a box that you can check if you would like to submit your name and email address or phone number so that you can win a chance for 2 movie passes or a $30 Valley Metro Copper card. And the QR code will take you to our tempe.gov/transportation plan 2050. Which should now have a live link to the project website. If you need a paper survey and you're not somebody who's frequently online or you don't prefer to use it in that format, tonight there will be paper copies of the survey available, as well as a chance to just fill it out right then on a tablet. But if you need a paper survey sent to you, please email us at, let's see if I put it in. transportationplan@tempe.gov is our own dedicated email address. If you have a need for us to send you a paper survey with an envelope to send it back, we will do that for you. So just email us there if you have that need. And so I'm going to turn it over now back to Shauna to see if there are any questions or comments that I can answer.
Thanks, Lindsay. So I don't see, so you can put any questions you have in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, then we can call on you as well.
All of us will be available tonight at the public meeting. So any questions that you might want to ask in more detail, please do. It looks like we've got a hand raised.
Yes, David, if you want to ask a question.
Yeah, there's kind of like a couple of different things, but it really comes down to the funding and trying to figure out how Tempe is going to fund improvements in the future. And is this plan going to look at maybe potentially getting more city funding or increasing the transit tax?
Hi, that was, yeah, thanks, David, for asking that question. I'll jump in and give an
Thanks.
answer. And there may be others that want to jump in as well. David and everyone on the meeting, I would say that there certainly will be discussions about funding as we go through this process. This is really, though, focused on the direction we want to go in and the types of projects and the types of things that are important for the community and for all stakeholders and everyone that wants to weigh in on Tempe's transportation future. So funding will come up. But what I would say is that we continue as staff and members of the city council and members of our city manager's office continue to talk about how we fund everything at the city. Specifically, we're in the middle of discussions about the recently passed, fall of 2024 Prop 479, the regional funding that is available to us. We still don't have a full breakdown of how much money is coming to Tempe for that. We continue to work through we rely upon federal funding tremendously, and we're in a new administration, and we continue to work with the federal government to understand exactly what types of projects are being funded there as well. So the regional funding and the federal funding are major components that we're working through right now. Local funding as well. As you know, David, and others, this gets shared at council meetings. The city continues to look at creative ways in order to bring in more monies to fund all these important projects. So that's basically a little unknowns about how we fund everything we want to do, but we continue to work through that and have public discussions about that.
I think when it comes to the funding, I think the two main issues is kind of has to do with like heat. So like protecting our transit system against heat and having the funding to do that, replacing our bus stop shelters. Right now I'm waiting in a bus stop that is like rusted and disintegrating and falling apart. And right now the city is installing the small shelters, but at some point we're going to have to install the large ones. And that's really going to slow down our progress. And I don't know exactly how long it's going to take Tempe, but it's far too long than what we need because it's already out there 115 degrees and I'm waiting in the sun and it's deadly. And we have to really be prepared to deal with what I call heat attrition. And what I mean is that as the temperature increases and people age like me, I mean, I'm 35 turning 36, but by the time I'm 50 and 60 years old, it's going to be a lot different experience. And I may not be capable of waiting out in the sun at 120 degrees. So that's kind of like the first component of it is like, how do we prepare our system for heat and where do we get the funding for that? And then there's also this other area that I want funding for, and it's kind of like what I call like auxiliary support systems. So like, for example, in Japan, if you ride the transit system, they have vending machines and they have bathrooms and they have water fountains. And all of that really makes a huge difference for transit riders and being able to have the funding to invest in those amenities so that if you're making a transfer between a bus, you can stop and you can use the bathroom, you can stop at the vending machine and get a drink or a snack, and all of that makes a huge difference. And I would also include like advertising and making sure that we're doing a better job of promoting our transit system. And actually, I've seen advertisements like in Norway that were really high quality advertisements that would be on TV. And they use that to encourage transit ridership. And we don't have the funding for that kind of investment. So those are kind of like the two main like problems that I'm seeing with our transit system right now. And I know that it's going to come down to the fact that we're going to need money to invest in those things.
Thanks for those comments, David. I just want to, and you have representatives from across our department in the city that are hearing this too. And so certainly we're registering those comments. I did want to mention that we concur. Heat is our challenge, that's our biggest climate challenge here in this region. One of the things that's important to note and helps us be more efficient and kind of pool resources together is the fact that the city's sustainability team and our transportation team are now together. So one of the things, an example of where we can kind of maximize that partnership and the funding there is that we're working with the teams that are handling the landscape in our right of ways, which is really where your bus stops are. And we're trying to match where we can't have a shelter, having trees, or maybe both. So we're trying to make sure that we're really targeting those resources for planting and trees, and matching that with where we have high needs for transit as well. And then, as you know, we have the goal of 30 transit shelters a year. Is that fast enough? We'd like to go faster, but that's what we can afford right now. So we're making progress on that front too. But thanks for those comments, David.
And I had heard from a participant that chat may have been disabled, but we have it working now. So if you tried to type something in, if you want to try again. I saw John's comment come through, so thank you. He was seconding David's, but if anyone else had questions, again, you can raise your hand and we can have you come off mute, or you could put them in the chat.
And of course, you also can reach out to the planning team with that contact information on that last slide there. If there's a question that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, but still want to ask, that's available to you for the duration of our planning efforts through next summer. Just so everybody knows, the survey is a sort of a multiple choice format, but there's also frequent opportunities for you to add narrative if you've got more that you'd like to share.
And if there aren't any other questions, then we can give you back some of your time today. And we appreciate everyone joining us.